Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the rationalinvestor.co. This is Brian Beamish here, your rational investor. I thought I'd maybe do a quick video for you guys out on YouTube and the Reddit feed and stuff like that. Just give you an idea of what we're watching here over at the rationalinvestor.co. This is our members room, just in case you are curious. And basically, we have a now actually a private chat room that basically members we chit chat away through the group. As well, we also have our Trading View free. In my videos, and you can click and follow me and join the chat room if you'd like. Let's see what happened here. Oh, crap. So I don't know if I'm back yet, but I hope I am. I'm going to have to edit that out. But anyway, so I was just saying that this is our CryptoLive room where members typically come on a day-to-day basis. This is our private chat room that we have here that basically members and I chit chat away through the day. And we have our free chat room here over on TradingView, and you're welcome to pop into that and join our conversation and learn a little bit more about what we do. Couple of interesting things that we've added to the site lately, which have been so cool. For a long time, I've operated a algo that I wrote myself on my 1980s website called the Delacour Index, and sadly, it does look very much like it was written in the 1980s. A big sort of goal or hope for me had been to see if we can get this algo into the 21st century. And one of the site members who's very computer savvy, yeah, in fact, there he is. Hey, Lang. So when you see this video, you're going to see yourself anyway. He's actually coded this for me with my help, and you can see that the DI is just running along here. And of course, this is a nice value-added service for our members. The DI has very simple buy and sell signals. And I tweeted this the other day that basically Bitcoin was extremely oversold, in my opinion. We had one buy signal come in here. It got stopped out. And here you can see this was this was the big Microsoft announcement. And you can actually see that the DI, the way it's constructed, as the technical picture gets worse and worse and worse, the DI actually gets happier and happier. So the gray line that you can see here, that's the raw DI index, and then these two are just moving averages off of the raw index. So it's very interesting to see as the market was melting down. This 340 level was a key historic low. And interestingly, into that event, the DI is actually starting to get happier. On a few of the different exchanges, I was tweeting and posting in members' chat room about haramis and stuff that I'll set up off of here. Let's see if I have that chart handy. Where is it? Here it is right here. This was the chart. It was a 60-minute stamp. Bull Amy. That's what we like to call these inside bars here. And man, I mean, sometimes I was joking in the members video yesterday or the day before, where I said sometimes members are like, man, these trades take forever to develop, right? Well, this bull Hammy, it took 2 hours. Bang, bang, target hit, mountain man level hit, gone. I mean, it's just sick how quickly this setup came in. And as you can see from the trade setup, that was a 3.51 risk reward. I mean, it's ridiculous. And there was a couple of site members who actually did the trade, so I'm really proud of them. So way to go. Justice, I think, for instance, he did it. And so, I had been warning members, and I even might have mentioned it in these YouTube videos. I don't know if I've done one since, that, this was the big dump off of the route, that the sort of, we were getting into panicky sort of mode here. Lots of harmonic levels were busted and hit down in here. And we started to develop what I call an expanding wedge. Well, no, it is an expanding wedge, but you could also argue it's a megaphone pattern. And if you just think that the megaphone sort of looks like this, and the person, let's see, here's my really funny drawing. So there's a nose, and eye, and then head, right? And then, whoops, I guess it should be higher, but anyway, there's their mouth, right? So something like that. So they're yelling into the megaphone, right? So there's their eyes. Hi, Brian, how you doing? Right. Terrible drawing, I know. Anyway, the point of the matter here is you can see the megaphone here if you look like this. Or maybe we should just move him down a bit. Probably like to there. And move you over there. I'm just having fun. You know, half of these videos, you have to understand, it's sort of just like me having fun with you guys. Anyway, so there's our megaphone. Yay! All right. And there's, oops, something like that. So anyway, the point here is that megaphones are extremely difficult to trade, right? This was the New York kill zone on this particular day. This is your classic liquidity event, right? They ran after the stops here. They put in a little bottom, get little day traders thinking, all right, this is the bottom, right? And then boom, right into the New York open, they go and run all those stops, right? And you can see all the volume in here. These were the stops that they ran, right? They were buying, 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 buying. They took it right back up to here, so that defined sort of a trend line here, and it also defined our megaphone. So coming out of this is going to be really nasty, and sure enough, bang, you know, we slowly rolled over and came basically back down to the megaphone lows. The Microsoft News event hit, right? So, you know, there was an OTE long. This little yellow line denotes where the first DI buy signal came in. DI is extremely oversold at this point, right? And so, I mean, you know, if I was following the DI as a trading plan, I would take the trade, right? You know, basically, you could have probably justified it off of this hammer. So your stop down here, risk that much, looking to book, you know, up in here, 2 to 1. There was also an OTE setup, and I think actually the OTE, I had it off of here, right? That was there to there, and the OTE was down into here, and it came down and tested the OTE a few times, right? And then finally lost it, so you were stopped out. And, you know, hopefully you guys understand. I don't know how long you've been trading watching this, but you have to understand professional traders are okay with booking losses. That's just part of our lives, right? In fact, a lot of the statistics that we run, you know, Cry's first rule of investing is, you know, you should work with an algo that's about 66% accurate. That means 33% of your trades that you put on, you should expect to get stopped out. And that's a third. That's a pretty big number. When I worked with the boys on the floor of the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, they were happy with being right only 55% of the time, right? So that's being wrong 45% of the time. The key is when you're right, kind of like this trade setup, you get paid for being right, right? And that's the key to this, right? Is that when you're right, you get paid much more than when you're wrong, right? So long and short of it here, first DI signal came in, stopped out, went to new lows. Then we quickly put in bull rammy. And as you can see, through the process of making the bull rammy, the DI spat up another buy signal in here, right? That was right in here. And what was really interesting is off of that Microsoft news, right? Boom, up goes price, right? And unfortunately, you probably had a lot of public buying up here. So what do? They just slowly work it right back down. And what I found really interesting is, let's see if I can show. Yeah, here it is on Stamp. You know, so here was this. Maybe you're not as slick because, like I said, trading megaphones is extremely difficult. Very, very tough trade, right? So there were a couple guys in the chat and members that were able to take this trade, and I outlined it and tweeted it and stuff like that. You know, because of the size of my portfolio, I'm only trading little old lady granny trades off the 6-hour chart. I can't even consider this because I just don't have the trading capital to justify taking this kind of trade setup. That's a whole other conversation. But anyway, the point here is, you know, basically made it known that if you wanted to take the setup, it was available. It only took 2 hours, bang, bang, and the mountain man level here target hit. I mean, you could have had the target at the 50% level. That still would have been more than 2 to 1. And then, you know, promptly, what does she do? Slowly works her way right back down to the OTE sweet spot. I mean, this is almost cliche how it literally tagged that level and hasn't looked back since. So, as a trader, if this was in your trading plan, this is the OTE model, right? So it's interesting. This bull Ramy, this was playing the megaphone. Very, very difficult to do. If you didn't take the trade, no sweat. This OTE trade, on the other hand, I think this is pretty respectable. I mean, it's a simple range trade strategy, and all you do is if it gets the OTE, great, boom, you buy. And as the trade setup says, we risk to the bottom end of the range, and your target is a test to the top end of the range. And as you'll notice, this risk reward is 2.22 to 1, right? So if we're right, we're going to get paid much more than if we're wrong. And that's really what trading is all about, really. I thought I'd just mention here, for those day traders, I mean, it's interesting. Here is one perfectly valid setup that you could play, right? This is called an expanding wedge. There are 3 touches, and basically you take any sort of candle pattern. And if we looked at momentum and stuff like that, it said to buy. Like I said, you could, I'm for students and site members, I wouldn't have a problem if you use the DI as one of your reasons to be interested in a trade setup. I mean, it's basically the DI itself is 45 different technical indicators all wrapped up into one indicator. So that's why I love it so much. So, I mean, if you wanted to use the DI as a signal, one of your 3 reasons to take a trade, fine by me. You could use momentum indicators. You can use volume indicators. You can use price indicators. All I care is that you have some sort of combination thereof. So, if you use the DI, then you use the megaphone, and then you use this bull Ramy or inside bar or fractal or whatever you want to call it. 1, 2, 3 can justify a trade, right? A couple of interesting things I would point out. We just did a volume class, I guess 2 weeks ago, for our students in the SBT program, and it's really interesting to see how this, panic low volume here on this low, panic low volume on this low was much lower. So in essence, technically, we have what's called a bearish divergence in bearishness, if that's possible, if you understand what I mean. So, I did like how we reversed off of here. This still looks a little sloppy to me here. It is interesting that, if we really going to see this thing trending higher, we want to see green bars, go and bust these highs. So, one could argue this bar high, and then this bar high, that's a higher high, but a lower high in volume. So we have a bearish divergence in bullishness, if that makes any sense. So what am I trying to tell you, free audience? This is a setup, perfectly valid, 3 reasons, fine. And then this is a setup, OTE, right? In fact, I suppose for the megaphone, we probably need to come up with an icon for Mr. Megaphone, eh? Wonder what would be a good icon for a megaphone. You would think like somebody yelling or something. I can't see something. Oh, that's a project I'll work on. What's an icon for a megaphone trade? We have our classic, and the irony of it all is I bet Mountain Man would have bought that, right? And then, for our program, we have OTE, right? And now, we're getting a couple more signals coming in here. We've now got confirmed Hollywood Nick right here, right? I have to move you behind, send back. Holy moly, I got a lot of stuff on this chart. Bear with me here a second. There's Hollywood Nick. All right, we'll point him up. All right, where you go, Nick. All right. And the last thing that I thought I'd point out to you guys. So, I mean, look at that. We've got a number of trade setups firing here. So I have to come up with another, wonder if I could make like a miniature size of that. I mean, that's a terror. You got to at least give this guy some teeth or something, right? There we go. Nice teeth. And a tongue. But anyway, I'm just messing around here. Having fun with you a little bit because I'm feeling a little better about the trade. What else do I want to talk to you guys about? Okay, so the last setup that I'm going to show you, and somebody actually asked me about this in the Trading View chat here this morning, so I thought I ought to just mention it. Is if we do get a big run up like this, that was that Microsoft news, right? This potentially sets up, because the market never moves in just sort of one step. It just doesn't do that. And the sooner you understand that the market needs to move in sort of harmonic fashion, the easier trading will be for you guys. So if we imply that this is a bullish AB equals CD harmonic pattern, then you can see how AB off of, and then C off of this low up to D is going to take us up to this 372.68, right? This is a classic harmonic pattern, right? Of course, students all are very well of this when we do our harmonics study. And students, and past students, go check out actually, we can give you a couple of resources here. Go check for students and past students. If you want a refresher on this, of course, go get your cheat sheet from the course material. For those that are watching, are just YouTubers or Reddit people or TradingView people, I have a tutorials page on this rationalinvestor.co, and you can actually go and pull up a nice slideshow presentation of this bot day trading model. When I turn myself into a robot, I trade like a machine. So you're more than welcome to go check that out. I'd appreciate it if you didn't sort of reproduce the material without some sort of reference to me. Thank you very much. And where was I? So the bot setup, right? If this is AB equals CD, then what we do is we just simply break this CD into quarters. 1/4, there's half of that range. There's a quarter of the range. This is 2/3. We can talk about that in a bit. But anyway, if you break it into quarters, then basically, if I'm anticipating that the AB equals CD is going to happen, and I take the trade at 25% level, then hopefully you can understand that basically this is a trade setup where I have $3 of potential reward for $1 of risk taken, right? So it's a very friendly trade setup, right? Looks something like this. Boom. And then we'll move your stop to just below the lows. And we'll move the reward up to here. All right. And this is just rough. I'm just eyeballing this. You can see that at the moment, this sets up 2.77 risk reward. Not bad. And the interesting thing about the bot setup is that if we look at the entire trading range from the meltdown just a few days ago, you'll notice that this is basically just an optimal trade entry short zone, right? So all this is saying is we're going to take price, if this is a bull ABCD, up into the top end of the range of where institutions would short if they're most likely to short. And you also notice if we draw just a nice simple trend line off of these peaks, that also goes up into that area. If we look back at the price action through here, and I don't know whether it shows on this chart, but I think it shows on the stamp chart. Where's stamp? Stamp, where are you? Mr. Megaphone. Oops, let's get rid of that. All right. You'll notice on the stamp chart, there's gaps. One gap there, another gap there, right? So, here's the OTE setup. I think he's best served probably to let some go here, maybe stop to break even, and then just see if we can go fill these gaps up here. I might come up and tag this trend line here. You can see on the volume profile, I have highlighted how we have a notch right here. So my hunch is that we're going to run into a heck of a lot of traffic up here, right? I've just superimposed what I call a diamond pattern here on the chart. This is the megaphone. Looks like this is the pivot. We might have to come down and swim against this bottom trend line. That really wouldn't surprise me. Markets never move in a straight line. You know, if you were playing a bot off of this, you got 1 low, 2 lows, 3 lows, 4 lows. No, not bad. You got a few lows. My hunch is that the 25% level is probably off that double bottom in there, somewhere there. And of course, you'd be going boom, 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 right? And so I wouldn't be surprised if ABCD takes us up into those gaps. So there's AB, and then we'll clone that, and we'll go BC, right? So maybe it comes in, let's see if we can move this over. How about there? Right? So that would come up and fill this gap here, maybe fail in here. So, you know, kind of like the little old lady strategy I did on the higher time frames, I'll probably sell some here and then look to sell the other half there, right? Something like that. Nice to see the volumes picking up here. We'd like to see volume break out through this high next, but this is very encouraging. I love to see double bottoms in the volume. That looks really good. And that's, you know, like again, you know, the internals here, I don't see anything really to get me too worried. Willie's getting a little toppy, but not stupid yet. We do have a little bit of a bear divergence here working on momentum, so we'd like to see a nice push higher. OBV, though, you can see this last volume bar. This is a Finex 30-minute. You can see that it pushed up to new highs here, so that's good. I don't know whether we broke out through that high, 926 and 0.999. Is that right? Isn't that interesting? So we did break out on that bar, so that's good. You know, everything's basically still looks positive and pointing higher here at the moment. So that's basically your summary. I think I probably wanted to finish off for you guys with just a simple message that I've been trying to convey to sort of my audience lately. I honestly believe that if you are considering being long Bitcoins, right, that we kind of want to just follow the institutions and what they're doing in the market. And what I see here is, you know, sadly, you know, about a year ago, that's when this price topped out. You know, if we go off of the Silk Road reversal lows, then what I see here is that the optimal trade entry is somewhere between, what's this, about $300 and $500 a coin. And you can see that there has been a lot of business done around this level, right? About 360, you know, this node right here. So clearly to me, what it says is that there is a lot of people buying. You know, somebody's buying in here, right? I mean, it didn't do it on the way up through here. It's done it every time the big people create panic dumps and dump it down into here. And somebody's buying up these coins, right? And, you know, the OTE is called the optimal trade entry. It is the zone where if institutions are going to buy, that is where they're most likely going to buy. All right. So what I see here is this is what we call in volume profile land the POC, right? Point of control. You can see that at 368, that is where the institutions are long. Now, the simple message here, right, is that if you are long from, say, $1,000, a move down to here, I mean, this is torture, right? You're dying 1,000 deaths. Your money's almost disappeared, right? It's like 60, 70% loss. And you know, if you did get a move down, let's say down into this valley here, right, it would be even more horrendous. You'd start be hitting like 75, 80% losses. But if you're long from this POC, taking some heat down, you know, even to like 275 or something like that, that's less than $100 heat, right? So, you know, it's my general feeling that the street is building, the institutions are building their long positions from this level. Now, that doesn't mean that this is the floor and it's going to go straight up. They might spend 6 months just driving the street crazy here, right? And in little panic dumps, come down and fill in this part of the profile, right? Really get the public panicked here. But my hunch is that if you are considering investing in Bitcoins, right, now is the time to start paying attention and really take advantage of real panic. If you start hearing about like suicide hotlines and stuff forming because one of these dumps broke lows and we were really, down here like 250, which coincidentally is, in my opinion, a really significant level because it's this old high, right? You can imagine there's just tons of open orders from people down here. I mean, really anywhere through here, where that are, all through this, they're just praying that price could come back down here so they could eventually buy down here. Please, 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 right? And so that's basically what the market's doing. And the sad part about it is the public, right? They just get barraged with sort of negative, sanguine news, right? And the irony of it all is that price really hasn't punctured through this OTE zone here, right? We call the 78.6 the line in the sand. And so my hunch is that, institutions might dip it below there and quickly revert it back above that 315 area. That's very realistic. But if you're an investor, right, and if you can take like little old lady strategy and the coins that you actually invest, right, you can actually risk the capital you're investing in them. I think long-term investors are going to do themselves well accumulating down anywhere in this area. And like even dollar cost average your way in. I mean, if you say you did 4 or 5 purchases over the next year, right? And you dollar cost average, maybe your average came out to about $300. Is it really going to make that much of a difference whether your average was 310, 320, 280, 290 if we're sitting up here at $900, right? You're going to be laughing, right? It's just my general feeling that if you are, considering investing in Bitcoin, now is the time when you need to be paying attention. And the irony of it all is that, in fact, I even tweeted here. And, it's probably a good idea if you're following me on this Reddit and YouTube and all that, just to follow my tweets, right? It's a free service, doesn't cost you anything. And, I was even tweeting here that, basically we're now starting to get the point where the major news services are starting to weigh in on Bitcoin. And they're pretty negative, right? So as a result, what ends up happening is sort of the media feeds the frenzy, which feeds the public, right? And they're pretty negative on the story. And the irony of it all is this is probably the area where you want to be thinking about buying. It's interesting that I see guys like Arthur Levitt, right? I mean, former SEC chairman, pretty big wig. I mean, I used to follow him for years and years and years. He's super bullish of Bitcoin, and he's on the board of directors of a bunch of Bitcoin companies. So the writing's on the wall. The smart money, they're long Bitcoins, right? And again, I mean, I just find it so ironic that this is the area where you should be buying, and yet the public is actually not interested. Go figure, right? So there's my message for you. Hopefully a little bit of trader wisdom. Hopefully, showing you a few different setups. I mean, here I can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4 setups here that we've outlined for you. You're more than welcome to. And then, of course, we got the bot. So I've talked about 5 different setups here for you today. And then I've also given you sort of my higher time frame sort of spiel. So I hope that puts the Bitcoin story into perspective. I mean, you got to know, and you guys are going to be hearing about this out the yin yang over the coming months and years. This DI that we've got up and running now, oh my God, this thing's just absolutely incredible. This is literally like 20 years of my life in the making here. And we're going to have it, we're just getting started on like on the site here. I still tell members, what, this is beta. It's beta, it's beta, it's beta, it's beta. We're just building it out. So I mean, these charts, they look kind of clunky right now. We just gotten started on this project. Once we sort of get it up and running, we're going to have it running on the entire stock universe, off of my algo list, my 1980 site. I covered more than 240 different issues, ETFs, indexes, the whole 9 yards. So I mean, we're just getting started here, man. This site is, regardless of whether I'm here over the long term or not, and I'll try my hardest to stick in. Um, this organism that we've created here, and some of the tools now that we're giving the community. Oh my God, it's literally like a life's work come into fruition. It's a bit overwhelming too, interestingly. So why don't I leave it at that? Quick plug for the school. We're basically about, I'd say probably about 2/3 of the way through our current program. As you can see, we're on to week 10 here of the program already. So these students have worked really hard through the Q4 program, learning lots. I mean, as you can see, every week we have a different set of material that we're learning. Lots of fun tools that site members have created, and scripts and stuff to help you along in your trading. Um, I'm just stunned at the feedback. If you guys want to learn about the school, you're more than welcome to come to the homepage here, therationalinvestor.co. And, we just have a little school blurb here. And here's the PDF on it that I put together. Somebody asked me for a summary of the school. And the last page, I just asked a few people that had taken the course to give me some feedback and what they thought about the program. And man, this stuff reads like poetry. It's just so absolutely beautiful. And you can see it's from people all over the world. It's not like I, just have one market. I mean, our students are everywhere. And I'm just so pleased to see that when you join the program, not only are you learning yourself, but you're becoming part of a community. All these people that you see chatting in here, and it's just me and Oscar right at the moment. But if you look, and the great part about this is you can pull up these archives and look at all the conversations that we have. But all these people are all students or site members, and they all basically have the same philosophy. I've taught them good quality analysis. And so as a result, it's just beautiful to watch this thing in motion. It's just absolutely beautiful. So anyway, you guys all have a great day. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you got some good learning information out of it. And feel free to pop by the site and say hello. All the best. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.